They are not on schedule for full accessibility. So it's time for the government to keep their promise and effectively enforce this law.
10 years from now, legally, the province has to be barrier-free. But the Ontario government is scaling back inspections at private businesses. This despite a year-long review of the Accessibility Act just released this month. That states higher visibility of enforcement efforts lead to higher compliance.
Enforcement and putting in place an accessibility police to police 400,000 plus businesses across this province, in my view, is probably the least effective tool we have.
I find it deeply troubling that he said that.
A letter to accessibility advocate David Lepofsky from the minister's office says only 1,200 compliance audits will take place this year. That's down from 2,000 in 2014.
But the focus, in my view, needs to be on awareness and on helping ensure that the business community embrace the competitive advantage that becoming accessible will provide.
They've had 10 years of educating them, and still they got 60% of private sector organizations that are flagrantly violating the law, and the government knows it.
Here's an example of some of the accessibility issues that are popping up at commercial properties. Behind this tarp and wooden door is supposed to be an elevator. Now, it's privately owned, but there's an agreement in place for it to service the TTC stop below. Unfortunately, the elevator has been out of service for 5 months.
I think people worry that it's not a real law if there's no enforcement behind it. And those who are complying worry, well, why would I comply if there's no effort to enforce against the people who don't? I've heard a lot of that from business.
Mayor Moran spent the last year independently reviewing the act for the government.
I think it's fair to say that actual progress on the ground has been pretty slow, and that many people with disabilities don't feel a big change in their lives.
During her extensive review, Moran was shocked by the lack of understanding surrounding the mandatory legislation.
After 10 years and, a kind of a groundbreaking bill that was passed unanimously, I was really surprised to see that there wasn't more awareness.
With 10 years still to go, Minister Duguid says the focus this year will be on pilot projects to improve private sector compliance.
At the 10th year anniversary, there's still a lot of work to do going forward, and we're looking forward to embracing many, if not all, the recommendations in Mayor Moran's report.
Minister Duguid does say he believes the province can still meet its mandate by 2025. He says he'll be working closely with former Lieutenant Governor David Onley, who's recently been appointed as Special Advisor on Accessibility. At Queen's Park, Adrian Gabriel, City News.